This comment. I'm feeling like I need to be a little more kind in my response to this because I hope this can be a learning lesson for you. But I also want to be really rude because this concept is incredibly problematic and I want to explain why. This comment about feeling like I've been failed by my parents because I wasn't set up for success for healthy food and fitness habits is operating from a really messed up kind of core premise in your argument that because I am fat, I don't eat healthy and I don't exercise.
While it could very well be likely that you do exercise, the fact is that if you are fat, you do not have a healthy diet. Part of a healthy diet is more than eating fruits and vegetables. Caloric consumption is an important part of a healthy diet.
Like if we were to boil the comment down, that's what it is. And what you need to understand is that you cannot look at the size of a person's body and determine their health and fitness habits.
That's not entirely true. While I may not be able to gather the whole story of your nutritional habits from your body, what I can tell you is some fairly basic things. If you're fat, you're consuming more calories than your body needs to maintain a healthy body weight. That's just a fact.
You cannot look at someone and based on whether or not they are fat or not, make an assumption about what they consume and how and if and when they move their body for exercise. Now, this commenter may not believe that. A lot of folks don't, and that's because what you have been taught about exercise and about diet and about fatness is wrong.
Is it wrong? Or does it make you comfortable being a fat person to just say it's incorrect to avoid the reality of the consequences of your actions?
Most of it is incorrect. So I'm not going to fully hold it against this person because I don't think they're trying to be horrible. If you comment and you are horrible, then yeah, I mean, I am going to hold it against you. But most people go through the world operating from the assumption that people that live in fat bodies live in those bodies because of the choices that they make around their food consumption and the movement of that body.
Well, I mean, that's because that's entirely the case. Like, 100% that's the case.
But here's the thing. There are lots of other things at play that people don't seem to understand or want to accept regarding the size of a person's body. There's genetics, there's hormones, there's your environment, there is your mental health, there's your access to food, there is your family or your current, like where you are in life, your location, your financial resources. All of those things impact the size of your body.
Those are all factors, but none of them lead the charge quite like caloric intake. You could be depressed, but you're not going to be fat without a high caloric intake. You could have PCOS, but you're not going to be fat without a high caloric intake. You could be insulin resistant, but you're not going to be fat, again, without a high caloric intake.
The other issue is that this question kind of creates morality around body size.
No, it doesn't. Like, at all. That's not relevant to the conversation in any way. That's not implied, nor directly stated.
So if I were to say, well, I do eat healthy, which, by the way, I always put that in quotes because there is no such thing as healthy food. There is no such thing as good or bad food. Like food, it could be maybe classified around caloric density, but that's kind of it.
There's also nutrient density, but go off, I guess.
If I were to say I eat healthy and I exercise all the time, then it makes it okay for me to be fat for some people. It creates morality around the size of my body.
No, it doesn't. Morality is not a part of the conversation. At all. In any way. On any planet. In any universe in the multiverse.
Whereas if I were to say, no, I don't do any of those things, then it's wrong that I'm fat. So there's a lot to unpack. There's one other thing I wanted to say about this. I didn't have time, so I may do another video about body size and genetics and those types of things. So let me know if you're interested.
No, it's not wrong. It's just healthier. Let's say you got a proper serving of fruits and vegetables as a fat person and exercise regularly. You would live longer and have a lower risk of disease than a fat person who doesn't. It's got nothing to do with morality. That's just dumb.
Here's another issue with looking at the size of someone's body and making assumptions based on their health and exercise and making assumptions about their education or their upbringing. So this is my dad right here, and these are his four brothers. I don't think you can look at this photo and tell me that there may not be a little bit of a genetic situation at play when it comes to the size of my body.
No, that's shit logic. They grew up together in a similar environment and were raised by the same parents, and would therefore be likely to adopt the same habits. And you were raised by those people. Let me use an example. Everybody in my family loves West Coast rap, including me. That doesn't mean there's a Tupac gene. It means we all grew up as African Americans in California, raised by African Americans in California, interacting with other African Americans in California. To say because all my siblings are fat, therefore it's genetic, is to totally negate the influence that the environment and upbringing has on outcomes.
And then this is a photo of me, my mom, and my baby brother on my husband and I's wedding day in 2019. Again, it's not like I just happened upon this body. I'm kind of built this way.
You showed one generation and just made the conclusion that, oh, I'm just built this way. What did your dad's parents look like? What did their parents look like? This is my own experience personally, but my dad is fat. But his parents aren't, and neither were my father's grandparents. This is also reflected when we look at the obesity rates in the US. In the last 50 years, they've nearly tripled. We both know large-scale genetic changes like that to a massive population in just 50 years just don't happen. That's less than 3 generations. So the chances of your great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents being fat are slim. Pun fully intended.
And this is one of the major issues with making assumptions about why someone's body is the size it is based on a very thin baseline understanding of calories and diet and exercise and all those kinds of things. Because all of that science, which again is not very well understood, like we're just now starting to try to understand fatness and the size of someone's body and what causes that or creates that or why a body is the size it is. Trying to make an assumption about someone's body based on those things, it doesn't work. It falls apart because there's other factors. There's genetics, there's hormones, there's environment, there's culture. There's so many things that go into whether or not someone's body is a certain size.
Something being multifactorial doesn't mean all factors play an equal role. If I set a fire to a wooden cabin, the fact that it's made of wood doesn't play as big a role to it being burned down as the fact that I set the fire does. So when you mention all these factors that lead to fatness, you fail to mention that caloric intake is going to lead the charge by far.
And here's the biggest thing. All of these conversations end up kind of being boiled down to morality around fatness. So even this conversation I'm having with you, in a way of me kind of showing you proof of why I am fat, is a way of me defending my fatness and trying to create some kind of like moral positivity or moral or correctness around the size of my body. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm fat because of what I eat and because of my exercise habits. That doesn't negate my humanity. That doesn't negate my worthiness. That doesn't take away the fact that I deserve to exist and live and move about this planet and have access to healthcare and love and jobs and success. Fatness, it's neutral. It's not like it's bad. It's not like it's good. It just is. It literally just is. It's just how some people are.
No. Here's the reality. You're justifying it on your own accord, because personal responsibility is not a fun pill to swallow. In fact, sometimes it can be 100,000 milligram suppository. Morality has nothing to do with this conversation. The reality is, obesity is not conducive to a healthy lifestyle. And that's a reality you don't want to face, and doing something about it is hard fucking work. And that's the problem. Diet and exercise will not get you instant gratification. It's slow and takes consistency. And that's not something a lot of people have the patience for.
I want to thank you, anonymous random commenter, because it's without commenters like you, I wouldn't have any content. And because there's so many different ways I could respond to this comment. First of all, doctors are people, and people are just as susceptible to having fatphobia, regardless of their profession.
Now ask yourself something. Why would your healthcare professional say something like you need to lose weight when discussing your health? It's almost like when they're making that suggestion, it's not because they hate fat people, but because maybe the medical consensus is that obesity is bad for your health. But continue.
And here's an interesting thing. We don't know how to lose weight. Not for most people effectively, long-term, without gaining it back.
Who is we? Of course we know how. We have studies looking at the habits of obese people and people who have lost weight and maintained it. Do you know what the common trend amongst these people is? They didn't return to the habits that resulted in them being obese in the first place. Let's look at the work of Spreckley and others 2021. This study looked at 15 other studies and takes the account of 294 individuals from 7 studies who maintained weight loss for a long period of time. The pattern to maintain weight loss are remarkably similar within and between studies. The answer to successfully managing weight is to look towards people who succeeded. What did they do? What was going on in their life? Were the people around them encouraging them or being critical? When we see that most people regain the weight after a diet, the correct thing to do is to investigate why, not to throw up our hands and come to the conclusion that diets don't work. What did they do differently? The research of Spreckley and others 2021 is mirrored in research done by Greaves and others 2017, which took 710 participants who had lost 10% of their body weight for at least 1 year, sometimes more weight and longer periods. Across 26 studies, the key to their maintenance was self-regulation, and the key to self-regulation is reduced tension. So yes, we do know how it's done. If you want to finish college, you shouldn't be asking the dropouts.
We don't.
Who the fuck is we? You speak French now? Don't project your ignorance on those of us who understand that weight loss and weight maintenance comes down to a simple energy balancing equation.
And that's, unfortunately, a fact. So if your doctor ever tells you you need to lose weight, just ask them how.
By eating less calories than you burn. Duh.
Because that is the difficult thing. And my doctor, once they understood that I didn't want to lose weight for aesthetic reasons, they stopped telling me to do it. Because my health is not affected. I'm lucky in that regard. Thanks.
Your health is not affected now. That's what people don't understand. Obesity makes you a ticking time bomb. You're not being affected by it now, but how long will you be able to say that? 1 year? 5 years? 10 years?
Not you all confusing body shaming with systemic fatphobia.
Not you virtue signaling and implying something that wasn't said.
Fellow fat people, what's something that you do that you're pretty sure really pisses off thin people?
Aside from the obvious existing while fat without hating myself, that really pisses people off for some reason. I'm one of those people that spends the majority of my life just walking around half naked in lingerie. I'm not wearing clothes unless I absolutely have to, you know what I mean? And so I get a lot of comments that are like, how are you so confident? Oh my god, you are so confident. And I know they mean it as like a compliment, I think, but it's just like, why wouldn't I be confident? So I started playing dumb and asking them that, going, wait, why does that make me confident? Everyone else is wearing the same kind of thing. Everyone else, why am I confident? And they kind of shit themselves because they're like, oh shit, oh, got to admit this was fat phobia. Whoops. But yeah, play.
The question was, what's something you do that makes thin people mad? Okay, that's the question. And you said They give you comments that they mean as compliments. People who are mad at you wouldn't be complimenting you.
That you must take. You gotta have that mindset that quitting is not an option. Give up? Who me? Never. Stop? Who me? Never. That's for the next guy. That's for the next girl. But not me. Why? Because I don't quit. That ain't how I do it. That ain't how I roll. I never give up. You must understand that there will come a time in your life that circumstances are going to challenge you no matter what you do. But you must never give up.
Don't let the obstacles discourage you and make you believe that it's not meant to be. Pursue when it's hard. Pursue even when it would make more sense to give up.
Not you, champ. You ain't the one. Not you, kid. You ain't the one to quit. Giving up is not what you do. You got the wrong.
So this video has this motivational audio in the background and telling you to never quit and keep going. It's motivational as fuck. Now, if you're not actually watching the video, I want you to guess what the text on this video says before I tell you. Alright, got your guess locked in? The text said, trying to stop dieting in a fatphobic world. You used a motivational audio telling you don't quit as motivation to quit. You can't make this up if you tried.
I think people get a little bit confused when they see body positivity because I'll sometimes have comments where people are like, I just don't find fat people attractive. And that's fine. Nobody wants you to be attracted to people you're not attracted to. I think an important question to ask is, do you only support the rights of people who you find physically attractive?
Whoa, we just went from A to 37 with nothing in between. How does the conversation go from not being attracted to certain people to not wanting people to have rights? How did you make that connection? Is sexual access a right? This is giving incel vibes. You don't have a right to sexual access to anyone who refuses you. That's super weird.
Because that might be worthy to unpack. Like, I'm personally not physically attracted to Channing Tatum, who is someone many people find physically attractive, but that doesn't mean that I don't want him to have rights. I guess I wish that these people could look at me the way I look at Channing Tatum and just be like, I'm glad you're thriving, love to see you successful, go make a movie with Sandra Bullock, live your life, I'm gonna live mine. Instead, people are like, I'm not attracted to you, so I think you're a bad person for liking who you are, which is just ridiculous.
This is a super weird straw man. Who is saying you're a bad person for liking yourself the way you are? Alright, with that said, I want to thank you all for your views and supporting me in my long absence. The support on the last video was crazy for me being gone for so long. I'm just glad you're all still here and a part of my audience. And with that said, please comment, like, subscribe.